Hey, what's going on, guys? So real quick before we get into this video, there's just a few things I wanted to let you guys know. So first off, obviously this is a very long video, but Halo Reach is a very big game, and there was so many different things that I wanted to talk about. When talking about Reach, I didn't want to leave any stone unturned, so I tried to cover so many different aspects of Halo Reach. And even with this video being as long as it is, there's still a few things that I left out. There's still a couple things about Reach that I didn't get to talk about. Now, because it is a long video, I do have all the different timestamps in the description. Timestamps for all the different topics I cover within this video. So yeah, it is a really long video, and if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I completely understand that, so that is why I have the timestamps in the description. And please, do not hesitate to refer to them timestamps, because even though this video is about Reach, I can tell you right now, there's a part in this video where I'm talking about Halo 3's ranking system for like 10 minutes straight. And there's times where I talk about Halo 4 and Halo 5 for a little bit. And I feel that it is necessary to talk about some of the other Halo games because this video is all about Halo Reach and the things it did right, the things it did wrong. Was Halo Reach a good game or a bad game? And when talking about these things, I feel that it is very important to compare Halo Reach to some of the other Halo games that came before it and the Halo games that came after it. Also, another thing I wanted to note real quick. About a third of the commentary within this video, about a third of it is messed up. For whatever reason, when I was recording this video, the audio got messed up. I don't know why. I don't have the answer. For whatever reason, it got messed up. It's just, you know, one of the magical, mysterious problems that I have to deal with. The audio isn't unbearable. It's not the worst thing you've ever heard. But I'm kind of like a perfectionist when it comes to these videos, and when something like the audio is messed up, that really irritates me. Like I said, it's not throughout the entire video. It's just about a third of the commentary, which most of it takes place within the first half of this video. The audio will sound like I'm peeking the mic, it'll sound a little scratchy, and you'll hear a couple pops here and there because my pop filter didn't want to work either for whatever reason. And also, the last thing I wanted to say was my camera settings. For whatever reason, with this video, another mysterious problem, my camera settings were off. It's the same settings I used for other videos in the past, but for whatever reason, something was wrong. So all the footage you'll see of me is gonna look kinda bad and really bright and washed out. So, sorry. It really annoys me that I had to have these problems, and in most cases, I would just re-record the entire video and refilm it, but this video is so long that I really couldn't do that. And it really sucked editing this video, putting so much time into this long video, knowing that the audio and my camera settings were fucked up. So that really was really annoying. I'm editing this video, putting a ton of work into it, but I know that the audio and the footage of myself was not up to par, not as good as it could have been. So that was annoying, but it's not the end of the world, and I just wanted to inform you guys about those few things. That the timestamps are in the description, some of my commentary audio is a little messed up, and my camera settings weren't right. So with all that being said, let's jump into this.
Sierra 320, prep for combat insertion.
What the hell was that? We're coming in hot. Hold on. We just lost our bird.
Oh my god. What the hell is happening down there?
People down here.
Kidding, just dropped off my man.
Overrun. We'll hold this position as long as we can.
I need you in that fight, Noble One. Noble One, come in. Noble One, do you read me?
This is Sierra 259. You got Spartans on the ground, sir. We're not going anywhere.
Even today, watching that trailer still gives me chills. I don't know what it is about it. It just, every time I watch it, I get chills. It's an epic trailer. Halo Reach. What a game. What a game. Some people love it, and others despise it. So for some time now, I've really wanted to make this video to give my opinions on Halo Reach and what I think of the game, what I thought of it back then, what do I think of it now. And lately I've seen a good amount of people talking about Halo Reach, which I thought was interesting. So I thought, you know, what better time than now to make a video about it. So when Halo Reach first came out, I absolutely hated the game. Hated everything about it. It was the biggest letdown ever. Compared to Halo 1, 2, and 3, Reach was complete trash. And that was the opinion of many, many people. Now, you may have noticed that I said that's how I felt about Reach when it first came out. So some of you probably already know where I'm going with this. And I want to clear something up. I see this a lot. People in the Halo community, they like to poke fun at those who hated Reach when it first came out, but now they talk good about it. There's this idea that goes around in the Halo community that I've seen brought up by a couple different people, where they think that when a newer Halo game comes out, so let's say when Halo 4 came out and everybody hated Halo 4, those people that previously hated Reach, now they praise Halo Reach after Halo 4 had come out. Same thing when Halo 5 came out. Once Halo 5 came out, those who hated Halo 4 now praise Halo 4. And I just wanted to say that that idea right there, it is literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. First off, pretty much everybody that hated Halo 4, they still hated the game once Halo 5 came out. They weren't praising Halo 4 after Halo 5 came out, for the most part. Now, with Halo Reach, it's interesting, okay? Let me put it like this. When Halo Reach came out, it was a disappointment to so many people. A lot of people hated it, myself included. Then once Halo 4 came out, and people saw how bad Halo 4 was so bad that it made Reach look good. So it actually makes sense that those people who hated Reach when it first came out would now kind of look at the game in a better way after having played Halo 4, which was god-awful. Okay, so let me put it like this. Let's say you're sitting at a table and you have two meals in front of you. Meal number 1 and meal number 2. Let's say meal number 1 is a burrito, but it's a bad burrito. The chicken, it's not fully cooked. It's basically raw chicken on your burrito. Let's say that, right? You take a bite of this burrito, and it is the worst thing you've ever tasted. You hate it. It is disgusting. You never want to eat anything like that again. Okay, so now you try meal number 2. And let's say meal number 2 is some month-old sushi that's been sitting in the back of the fridge. So you try the sushi, this month-old sushi, and immediately you realize that this is 10 times worse than that burrito that you just tried. This sushi is so awful and disgusting that it actually makes the burrito look good. The burrito with raw chicken on it. It makes it seem actually pleasant because this sushi is so awful. Giving the choice between the two, you would take the bad burrito hands down over the old sushi. Halo Reach is the bad burrito. Halo 4, Halo 5, that's your month-old sushi. After eating that disgusting sushi, it made you think, you know what, that burrito wasn't half bad. It wasn't as bad as I originally thought it was. It's actually kind of pleasant. After playing Halo 4 and 5, it made so many people realize that Halo Reach actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as they had thought when it first came out. And that's fine. That makes sense. So I don't like seeing hate focused towards people who hated on Reach back then, but like it now. Because it makes complete sense as to why they would have hated it then, and they liked it now. Because back then when it first came out, all you had to compare it to was Halo 1, 2, and 3. And it was way worse than all the 3 of them games. It was a huge letdown. But now, after playing Halo 4 and 5, people that can't stand Halo 4 and Halo 5, and not only because of how bad Halo 4 and 5 were, but also the fact that the settings for Halo Reach got better over time, with updates and playlist changes and things like that. Because vanilla Halo Reach settings were pretty awful. But over time, you know, after Halo Reach had been out for a while, we actually got some decent settings. 85% bloom, 0 bloom, changes to loadouts and armor lock and bleed through, and all these different things were changed and tweaked in Halo Reach. So after Reach had been out for a while, we actually got some decent settings for the game. So Halo 4 and 5 being way worse than Halo Reach, paired with the fact that we got better settings for Halo Reach as time went on, you had some people who grew to actually like Halo Reach. They actually look at Reach as really not that bad of a game, not as bad as they thought. Some of them look at Reach as a good game compared to Halo 4 and 5, myself included. Halo Reach is a masterpiece compared to Halo 4 and 5, hands down. Now, you hear me talking about this with the mindset that Halo 4 and 5 are worse than Reach. And I understand that not everybody agrees with that. And at the end of the day, it really is just all opinion. At the end of the day, you know, you could say Halo 4 is the best Halo game ever, and you're technically not wrong. But when you look at a Halo game and you're deciding if it's a good or a bad game, you gotta look at it. There are certain things to look at. Like, is this what the community wanted? How does this Halo game compare to the past Halo games that people loved? What did they leave out of this Halo game that were in previous Halo games? It is just all opinion, but you can look at certain things to get a pretty good idea if a Halo game is good or bad. When a large portion of the Halo community, or any community for that matter, shits on a game, that's a pretty good indication that maybe it's not a great game. But I am also very well aware that the majority isn't always right. The majority can be way wrong. So I'm not saying that either. Now, I have heard people say that Halo 4 or Halo 5 are better than Halo Reach. And you know, in a way that makes sense to me when it's coming from the newer generation who grew up playing Halo 4 and 5. They missed out on Halo 1, 2, and 3. Halo 4 was their first Halo game. It makes sense that they would say Halo 4 is their favorite, or Halo 4 is the best Halo game. I don't agree with it by any means, but I understand it. That makes a little bit of sense to me. Okay, it was their first Halo game. That's why they think it's the best. It makes sense. Now, what I do not understand, what I just cannot wrap my head around, are those people whose favorite Halo game is either Halo 1, 2, or 3. Let's say your favorite Halo game is Halo 2. Those same people will then say Halo 4 was better than Reach. That I don't understand. If your favorite Halo game was either Halo 1, 2, or 3, I do not understand how you can like Halo 4 or 5 more than Reach. I do not understand that at all. And I'm really just talking about the multiplayer here. I'm not talking about the campaign or the Forge. I'm really just talking about multiplayer, which I don't think is wrong, because that's what the majority of us are playing, is the multiplayer. That's what the majority of the people are playing. That's what people are putting the most hours into, is the multiplayer, the matchmaking. So I don't think it's wrong to kind of focus in on just that aspect, because that's why people fell in love with Halo. They liked the campaign, but they stayed for the multiplayer. But I am still going to be talking a lot about other aspects of Halo Reach later on in this video, things like campaign and Firefight and stuff like that. Now, Halo 4 and 5 did do some things better than Reach did, but there was still just so many things that were just so bad about Halo 4 and 5 that made Reach look so much better. Yeah, Reach was complete trash when it first came out. Vanilla Reach, like, it was awful. But once you got some good settings, some good Forge maps, you know, Zero Bloom, Halo Reach was actually pretty good. Like, the MLG settings for Halo Reach, the last MLG settings for Reach, like, that shit's actually good. Once you take out the armor abilities like Armor Lock and Jetpack, and you put in that Zero Bloom, and you give us some good Forge maps, Reach can actually stand on its own. So yeah, Reach was complete trash when it first came out, but towards the end, it actually got pretty good. And I'm not saying that excuses how Halo Reach first launched. I think it's very important that a game launches finished and complete. I don't think it should take several years to get a game in a good playable state that players enjoy. I don't think that should take several years. So just because I think Reach finally got some good settings towards the end there, I'm not saying that completely excuses how the game was when it launched and for the first couple years. But regardless, those settings did come, and me and a lot of other people actually liked them settings. They actually thought they were good. And I'm talking about the Zero Bloom, the no armor abilities, no sprint or anything like that. the Forge maps that came. I'm talking about all that. Once all that came, and it wasn't that bad. And then you even had some playlists that were like 85% bloom, not 100% bloom, and that made a huge difference. But I want to bring it back to talking about those people who like Halo 4 and 5 more than Reach. Sure, there was no armor lock in Halo 4, and yeah, they brought the battle rifle back in Halo 4, but a couple things that Halo 4 had that Reach didn't was, I don't know, I gotta go down the list here. What is it? Ordnance drops, Promethean vision, no D-scope when you got shot at, freaking customizable loadouts, sprint, everybody had sprint. It wasn't an ability you pick, you just spawned with sprint. What else we got? It was easy as could be to shoot in that game. It wasn't difficult to shoot at all. The game had hit markers, which I know a lot of people didn't like. There was no competitive ranking system. At least in Halo Reach we had the arena. Armor customization was a joke in Halo 4 compared to Reach. I mean, that's just a couple things off the top. And those things right there, like, I do not understand how you could say you liked 4 more than Reach. I don't understand that. Like, Halo Reach was better than Halo 4 in so many ways. It really was. And then you got Halo 5. I've heard some people say they like 5 more than Halo Reach as well. And, I mean, that's not as bad. I can kind of understand that a little bit more, but I still do not think so. Not with all them abilities in the game. I mean, people didn't like Reach when you just had to choose one ability when you spawn in. You only had to choose one. You could only choose one. And people hated that. Well, in Halo 5, you spawn with all the abilities. Not the same abilities that you had in Reach, but different Spartan abilities. And you spawn with all of them in Halo 5. So we hated abilities where you could only choose one in Halo Reach, and we hated Sprint. But you guys liked Halo 5 where you spawned in with all the abilities and everybody had Sprint? Okay? Sure. Let's go with that. I also don't like when people put the blame on Halo Reach for how Halo 4 and 5 turned out. I don't like that shit at all. Yeah, Halo Reach was the first Halo game to introduce, abilities and sprint and bloom. But I think for the most part, everybody was pretty vocal about how they felt about that. And also, towards the end of Halo Reach's life, when 343 first got the rights to Halo, they pushed out a couple updates, or maybe I think it might have been one big title update, that actually improved the game in so many different ways. Like, they gave us the 85% bloom setting and the 0 bloom setting. There were actually some decent playlists with no abilities or anything like that. So people were vocal about how they felt about Halo Reach and everything that game introduced. And 343 was in the right direction. They were headed in the right direction with these updates they were putting out for Reach. And then with Halo 4, I have no idea what happened. I do not know what went wrong. They just blew it. They blew everything. So Halo Reach is not to blame for how bad Halo 4 was. Not at all. Like I said, I hated Halo Reach when it first came out. I shit on that game all the time. I almost literally took a shit on that game. I hated it. But I was very clear that when that game first came out, I would always say that it may not be a bad game, but it is a terrible Halo game. And there was a lot of truth to that. But here we are now, and I enjoy Reach. I like Reach a lot. Because like I said, after playing Halo 4 and 5, and hating those games as much as I did, now Reach doesn't seem that bad. And that makes sense. That is not a bad thing. That's not something to call me out on. Oh, you hated Reach when it came out, and now you're saying it's good? What the fuck's wrong with you? It makes sense. You know what, let's say your favorite Halo game is Halo 2. Okay? And then let's say Halo Infinite comes out, and let's say in every way, every aspect, Halo Infinite is 10 times better than Halo 2. Now, you're not going to look at Halo 2 the same way you did before. Halo 2 is no longer going to seem like that great of a game like it did back then, because Halo Infinite is just, hypothetically speaking, Halo Infinite is 10 times better than Halo 2. So now Halo 2 looks like trash compared to Halo Infinite. See, opinions change. They do. And it makes sense as to why they would change. Like, if I experience anything in life and I hate it, I hate it. And then a couple months down the road, I have another experience with something else that is way worse than that first experience. Well, now that first experience, whatever it may be, it's not going to seem so bad because I experienced something way worse. Same thing goes for something that I enjoy. Let's say I'm at an amusement park, I ride a roller coaster, and it is the funnest roller coaster I've ever been on. I love it. And then let's say I get on another roller coaster after that, and this roller coaster is better, it's faster, it tops that other roller coaster that I went on before. This one is way more fun. Okay, well now the first roller coaster I went on doesn't seem that good anymore, because I went on this next one that is way better. So that's enough with the comparisons there. I'm just trying to get that point across that it's okay for opinions to change when especially when you can back it up, when it makes sense, when there's reasoning behind that change of opinion. If Halo Infinite turns out to be complete garbage, I might actually think Halo 4 was a good game. If Halo Infinite actually turns out to be super, super bad in every way, shape, and form, Halo 4 might not seem like a bad game anymore. Although I've talked so much shit on Halo 4 in this video, and previous videos. Now, I've talked about people that hated Reach when it came out and still hate it to this day. I've also talked about people like myself who hated the game when it came out, but after years have passed and other Halo games came out, they actually grew to like Reach. But there's also people that liked Halo Reach from the very start, from the beginning, and it's their favorite Halo game. And while I definitely do not think Halo Reach was the best Halo game by any means, I can see where people are coming from when they say Halo Reach is their favorite. You know, on paper, Halo Reach is honestly the most complete Halo game. In Halo Reach, you have it all. You got campaign, you got matchmaking, custom games, Forge, Firefight, and theater. You have it all. It's all there at launch in Halo Reach. All 6 of them modes in Halo Reach, which no other Halo game has launched with all 6 of them modes besides Reach. Reach is the only one. And then you can go into more specific things like Halo Reach having the best armor customization we've ever seen in a Halo game. Also, Halo Reach included so many different game types in custom games, and I'm pretty sure it's every game type that we've had since Halo 1, plus some new ones, but I could be wrong on that. But even then, there was still a ton of game types included in Halo Reach. Game types that we don't see in Halo 4 and 5. Now, yeah, not everything about all them different modes were done greatest in Reach. No, not at all. Like, just the overall multiplayer, the gameplay. I think that was inferior to the gameplay in Halo 1, 2, and 3. Theater mode wasn't as good as the theater mode in Halo 3. You could only go in the theater by yourself. The ranking system. I don't think the ranking system in Reach lived up to Halo 3. You didn't have a 1 to 50. The only skill-based ranking system in Reach was the Arena, which is a division-based system, which I could go into a ton of details as to why I don't really like a division-based system. But overall, I do think most people preferred the 1 to 50 ranking system over Halo Reach's division-based ranking system. Some may say that the Halo Reach campaign wasn't that great compared to Halo 1, 2, and 3. Halo Reach did have playable elites, but only for certain modes and playlists, unlike Halo 3 where you could play as an elite in everything. And there's also probably other things that Halo Reach left out or did worse than Halo 1, 2, and 3, but that's just a couple. Now, Halo Reach also improved upon a lot of aspects from Halo 1, 2, and 3, such as armor customization. Armor customization in Halo Reach was incredible. Even Halo 4 and Halo 5 don't live up to the armor customization in Reach. I mean, yeah, Halo 5 does have a ton of armor pieces. There's a lot of variety there, but most of them just look god-awful, like one helmet in particular. And also, yeah, there may be a lot of armor pieces, like helmets and chest pieces and stuff, but a lot of them do look the same. Whereas in games like Halo Reach or even Halo 3, where there was barely any armor pieces, there was only a couple helmets and a couple chest pieces, like 10 of each or something. There was only a few, but they were all unique and they all looked different from one another. And in Halo Reach, there were things like utilities and armor effects and things on your wrist. You could customize so much in Halo Reach, and it was a huge improvement from what you could do in Halo 3. And then since Reach, it's kind of the armor customization has kind of gone downhill, especially Halo 4. That was awful. Awful. Actually, what am I even talking about? Halo 5's armor customization was even worse than Halo 4. Because in Halo 5, your shoulder pieces and your chest piece, that was all one piece in Halo 5. In previous Halo games, you could change your left shoulder, your right shoulder, your chest piece, and it was all separate. In Halo 5, your chest piece, your shoulders, that's all one piece, which seems like a step backwards as far as armor customization goes. Considering that previous Halo games that came before Halo 5, you had the freedom of choosing your shoulder pieces and your chest piece all separately. Halo Reach also significantly improved upon Firefight, which was first introduced in Halo 3 ODST. Now, personally, I still like Halo 3 ODST's Firefight more than Halo Reach's Firefight, but I think that has more to do with the fact that you're playing as an ODST, you got the silenced SMG and that pistol, and it's, the Halo 3 art style, which I love, so I think that's why I like ODST Firefight more. But Halo Reach Firefight was better. On paper, it was better. There was so much you could customize within Halo Reach's Firefight, where previously in ODST, where it was first introduced, you couldn't customize anything, just the difficulty, and that was it. That's all you could change. Halo Reach, you can add skulls, create your own custom skulls, choose which skulls per round, which enemies per round, make your own custom loadouts. There were so many different things you could do with Halo Reach's Firefight. And again, just like the armor customization in Reach, Firefight as well was at its peak in Reach, and has been at a steady decline since. Firefight wasn't in Halo 4. We had Spartan Ops, but did anybody really enjoy Spartan Ops? And if you did you think it was better than Halo Reach's Firefight? Because I don't think so. And then Halo 5 didn't have Firefight at launch, and when it finally did get added, it wasn't even traditional Firefight. Survive until all your lives run out. No, there was just you kill a couple waves, do a couple objectives, and then it's over. It was super lame. And then you didn't have all them customization options that you had in Halo Reach's Firefight. And also, Halo 5's Firefight, it's just a matchmaking playlist. So if I want to play Halo 5 Firefight with just a few buddies or by myself, I can't. The only way to play Firefight is to search the playlist in Halo 5. And that is just incredibly stupid to me. There is no, private matches for Firefight in Halo 5. I mean, shit, we had that in Halo 3 ODST. Before Reach, we had that. We could do that. And then in Halo 5, you can't. There is no private matches for Firefight. You have to search the playlist. In Halo Reach, you could either do private matches for Firefight, so you could play by yourself, or you can invite a couple buddies and play with them. Or you also had the option to search the Firefight playlist. And I don't remember exactly what the playlists were, but I know there was different Firefight playlists in Reach that, came and went, and some that are still there. And I think the only two playlists left in Reach now is just Classic Firefight, where, it's just you and 3 other people, or you could do Score Attack, which you just go in and play Firefight alone, and it's a playlist. So yet again, that is another example of Halo Reach offering a lot of variety. In Halo Reach, you could play Firefight in a private match, or you could hop in matchmaking and play Firefight that way. And then you had different Firefight playlists to choose from. I swear, man, there is so many different things where if you compare the older Halo games to the newer Halo games, it just seems like we're going backwards with so many different things. And I would really dive deeper into the specifics of what those things are, but that's not what this video is about. But there's so many different things where we are literally going backwards, and I don't understand it at all. Oh yeah, and when I hopped on Halo 5 earlier today to record some Firefight footage, I got on the game, I started up the Firefight playlist, it put me into a game, and the game had ended before I could even select my loadout. It ended within 5 seconds of me getting into the game. So that was my incredible experience with Halo 5's Firefight because of the shitty join in progress. It joined me into the very end of a game. I mean, Halo Reach also had playlist for Firefight where you could search and match up with random people. And how many times did that happen to me? How many times did I join in to the end of a Firefight match and reach? Oh wait, never, because there was no shitty join in progress. So my complaint there really has more to do with join in progress, but it's just the overall experience. In Halo 5, dude, that was actually my second time ever searching Firefight in Halo 5, and that's what I get. It joins me into to the end of a game that ends within 5 seconds. And then I have to watch some stupid fucking end of the game cutscene and then get back to the lobby and search again. That was only my second time ever fucking searching Firefight in Halo 5, and that's what I get. I'm just comparing the overall experience here. In Halo 5's Firefight, shit like that can happen, which, like I said, that was my second game ever searching Firefight, and that happened to me. Halo Reach, it never happened to me, because it can't happen to me, because there is no join in progress. So it's a much better experience searching Firefight in Halo Reach than Halo 5. That is kind of the comparison I just wanted to make there. So armor customization, Halo and Firefight and Halo Reach were at their peak, their best in Reach, which, how long ago did Reach come out? What, 8 years? I think it's been 8 years now. I mean, that's pathetic. That is pathetic that those things were at their best in an 8-year-old Halo game. Like, come on. And these aren't even like little small aspects of Halo. People love Firefight. When Firefight first got introduced in ODST, I thought Firefight was something that was going to be carried over to every Halo game going forward. Kind of like custom games and Forge. I thought that Firefight was going to be in every Halo game from ODST forward, and I thought it was going to be improved upon with each game. But little did I know that after Reach, it was going to be taken out. That was a slap in the face, to say the least. Also, Forge in Halo Reach was huge improvement compared to Halo 3. And I think, I'm not entirely sure, but I think most people felt that Halo Reach's Forge was better than Halo 4's. I never really messed around with Halo 4's Forge that much, but I think Halo Reach's might have been better. Halo 5's Forge undoubtedly is the best Forge we've ever had. It's absolutely insane. There's no denying that. I'll give Halo 5 credit where credit is due. But Forge was also another thing that wasn't there at launch in Halo 5, which having them things at launch is very, very important. It is very important. I mean, it's still good that it finally came, that Forge finally came to Halo 5, because look at how good it is, and look at how many people have created some awesome things using Halo 5's Forge. But Halo Reach had all that shit right there at launch. And a lot of it was significantly improved upon from previous Halo games. Like I said, like the Forge, the armor customization, the Firefight. It wasn't just there, it was better. But like I also mentioned, there was a lot of aspects of Reach that did not live up to Halo 1, 2, and 3. But those things done worse in Reach, it wasn't really because of laziness or lack of content. It actually had more to do with just Bungie's vision for this game and the certain things they added, like Bloom and armor abilities and, you know, reasons like that. People did not like the competitive multiplayer in Halo Reach. It wasn't laziness, it wasn't incompetence, and it wasn't lack of content. It was, I mean, they actually put a ton of shit in that game. Not everybody liked everything they put in the game, but it was there. Halo 4, on the other hand, completely left out certain things that were in previous Halo games. They also failed to improve upon a lot of aspects from other Halo games, like the armor customization, no Firefight, the Forge wasn't that great. I'd say the SR ranking system wasn't nearly, was complete shit. I mean, Halo Reach's ranking system, arena ranking system, and just the progression system was better than Halo 4's. Halo 5 left out Firefight and Forge. Yeah, we finally got Forge and Firefight later on, and, you know, Forge, that was a success. Still important that it was, you know, should have been there at launch, but either way, thumbs up, because the Forge was actually incredible. But the Firefight was a huge disappointment and did not live up to the Firefight from Halo Reach. But Halo Reach had it all. It improved upon so many different things, and I can understand why people like Halo Reach. I get it. I understand how somebody could say Halo Reach is their favorite Halo game. I get it. There was so much content in that game. Now, the main reason I feel that Halo Reach was received very poorly by the Halo community was because of the gameplay, the competitive multiplayer. When you go back and look at Halo 1, people fell in love with that game for two reasons. The campaign and the multiplayer. That's all you had. You didn't have Firefight, Theater, Forge, any of that. You had campaign and a very simple multiplayer. So because those are the two aspects that people fell in love with Halo for, I feel that it's very important that both them aspects are either just as good or improved upon with each Halo game that comes out. How good the Forge, the Firefight, the Theater, the custom games are, that is all also very, very important. I mean, there's some people that just play Halo for custom games and Forge. And people love all that about Halo. All them different aspects, myself included. It is very important that all them features are improved upon and included in each Halo game that comes out going forward. But I feel like all that takes a backseat to the campaign and the multiplayer, because that's why people fell in love with Halo. Like, Halo 5's Forge is incredible. Its Forge and its custom games combined, you can do some insane things. Insane. It's absolutely crazy. But there's so many people that look at Halo 5 in a very bad light. A lot of people that hate Halo 5. Even though the custom games and the Forge are incredible, they still hate Halo 5. And then when you look at Halo 5's campaign, a lot of people were let down by the campaign in Halo 5. A lot of people were disappointed after beating that campaign, myself included. And then the multiplayer, people want that classic Halo gameplay, and Halo 5 wasn't given that to us. So the campaign and the multiplayer in Halo 5 were looked at very poorly by a lot of people. Even though the Forge and the custom games were incredible, better than ever, overall people looked at Halo 5 as a bad game. Most people. Now, if the roles were reversed and Halo 5's campaign and multiplayer were significantly better than any other Halo game that came before it, and the Forge and the custom games were kind of lacking, I think people would be upset about the Forge and the custom games. But if the campaign and the multiplayer for Halo 5 were the best we've ever seen, I think people would look at Halo 5 as a good game. Honestly, if the campaign and the multiplayer in Halo 5 was the best version of a Halo campaign and the best version of Halo multiplayer that we've ever seen, and the whole community loved that, they loved the multiplayer and campaign in Halo 5, I think people would look at Halo 5 as a good game, even though the Forge and the custom games may have been lacking. There would be people that would be upset about that, about Forge and custom games not being as good as previous Halo games, but overall, I think most people would look at Halo 5 as a good game if the campaign and the multiplayer was good. So while every aspect and feature of a Halo game is very important, I think that campaign and multiplayer should be prioritized. That should be at the top of the list. I feel that 343's #1 goal with Halo Infinite should be to give us the best competitive multiplayer we've ever seen in a Halo game. And now when I say competitive multiplayer, I don't just mean like MLG, I mean just player versus player. Matchmaking. Because that's one of the main reasons people fell in love with Halo. And you can't really argue that. When you look at Halo 1, it was the multiplayer that kept people around. So why should that not be prioritized for every Halo game? You know? So like I mentioned, I feel that the main reason people disliked Halo Reach was because of the multiplayer, the matchmaking. I mean, like I mentioned, the armor abilities, the bloom, the maps weren't as great. Also, the ranking system. I don't think Halo Reach's ranking system lived up to Halo 3's ranking system. That's just my personal opinion. I love the 1 to 50 in Halo 3. I love the XP system in Halo 3. Best ranking system I've ever seen in any game. Yeah, it was flawed, but it was also very rewarding and super satisfying getting that 50. And every time you ranked up from getting thousands of XP, super satisfying. You know, there's a lot of people that enjoy Halo, but people enjoy the game for different things. So Halo Reach not having a great ranking system, not having a great competitive multiplayer, there's some people out there that don't care about that in the slightest. That doesn't matter to them at all. There's also people out there that probably only played the competitive multiplayer and never touched Firefight or Forge or Campaign. And like I've mentioned throughout this video, Halo Reach did some things great and some things terrible. And that's kind of why you have this split in the community where some people loved Halo Reach and some people thought it was the worst game ever. But for me, the ranking system is a pretty big deal. And as I mentioned, I don't think the ranking system in Halo Reach lived up to Halo 3's, not even close. I mean, I thought Halo Reach's ranking system was awful compared to Halo 3. I really want to get that point across that the reason I put so much time into Halo 3 is because of that ranking system. It honestly is. There were times on Halo 3 back in the day where I would go play social, and it just wasn't doing it for me. Like, after a couple games, I'm like, you know, I don't want to play this. I want to play ranked. Nowadays, I don't really mind playing social playlist for Halo 3, whether that's on MCC or OG Halo 3. But that's probably just because I've spent so much time playing Halo 3 that it doesn't really matter what I'm playing at this point on Halo 3. As long as I'm playing the game, I'm having fun. But back in the day, maybe not when I first started playing Halo 3, but once I really dove into the ranked playlist and I set a goal to get a 50, all I ever wanted to play was the ranked playlist in Halo 3, and that's it. That's all I wanted to play. Social wasn't doing it for me. No other game was doing it for me. It had to be the ranked playlist on Halo 3. You know, back in the day when Halo 3 was in its prime, or actually Reach had been out at this time, for a while I've always really had this urge to go play Halo 2. I really wanted to play Halo 2 because when the Halo 2 servers were online, I never played the game much at all. So I really desperately wanted to play Halo 2. Well, eventually I learned what XBC was, if you guys know what that is, Xbox Connect, and basically it allowed you to find matches on Halo 2. And most of the time people were hosting FFA games. So as I started playing Halo 2 a bunch on XBC, I started to kind of get bored fairly quick. And I realized that's when I came to the realization that it's that ranking system in Halo 3 that keeps me playing. That is the reason I keep playing Halo 3. Because it was just so much fun going for 50s in Halo 3. And then once you get a 50, you can keep playing that playlist to get experience, and you can get a ranked general within the playlist itself. There was so much depth to Halo 3's ranking system that made it so enjoyable and very satisfying to rank up. And if you lose a game, it has a negative impact on your rank, and if you win, it has a positive impact on your rank. And unlike the 1 to 50 ranking system in MCC, Halo 3, you could get a 50. You could go from a 1 to a 50 in a couple hours. You could do it in a day, which is something that I loved. I love that you could do that. You could go from the lowest skill to the top skill in a day. And with the skill-based ranking systems that were in some of these Halo games that came after Halo 3, it took a very long time to go from the lowest rank to the top rank. Like with Halo Reach, I don't remember exactly how many days it was. It could have been 3, it could have been 5, but you had to get rated in the arena playlist so many days within a season to get placed into a division. So that's already a couple days right there that you gotta wait just to get placed into a division. And then once you do get placed in the division, then you can start working your way up through the ranks, and the top rank being top 1% in the Onyx division. And then MCC, yeah, it has a 1 to 50 ranking system, but my god, does it take a long time to rank up in that game. Like, it takes multiple games to go from, I don't know, an 8 to a 9, and then once you get up even higher, it takes more games. And then with Halo 3, you're skipping ranks. I mean, you're going from like a 13 to a 16, from a 30 to a 33, like, you're skipping ranks. You're moving your way up there quickly. And with how long it takes to rank up in MCC, I'm just so unmotivated. Like, it's gonna take so fucking long. I don't care. And some of you may think that the amount of time it takes to rank up from a level 1 to a level 50 in Halo 3 is way too quick. You may think that's way too fast, but I disagree with that completely. I mean, because first off, it does take time. Like, it's not like 10 games and then you're a level 50. But there were D-rankers and booster accounts back in the day, where if you play with a booster, you would rank up pretty fast. But that's just one of them flaws with the Halo 3 ranking system that I was talking about. But for the most part, you did have to play a bit to get from a level 1 to a level 50. And if you're playing a ranked playlist on Halo 3 and you're winning most of your games, and then you get up into the higher ranks and you're still consistently winning, then yeah, I do think you deserve that top rank. I do believe you deserve a level 50, even if it only took a couple hours. In MCC, man, it just takes so long to rank up. It takes forever. In MCC, if I'm like a level 44, let's say, and I win 5 games in a row, I deserve a rank up for that. But you're probably not getting one. And yeah, with Halo 3's 1 to 50 ranking system, there were times where you could get stuck at a rank and, you know, even though you were winning games, you weren't ranking up. But for the most part, that didn't happen. And even then, it still takes way longer to rank up in MCC than OG Halo 3. The amount of time it took to rank up and rank down in the ranked playlist in Halo 3, I just thought that was a perfect amount of time. And I loved being able to skip ranks. I'm not exactly sure what kind of algorithm that Bungie had in place for Halo 3's ranking system, but there were times where you could skip ranks, like go from a 28 to a 33, which I'm all for, because if you're like a level 20 and you beat a team that consists of level 30s, well, yeah, you should rank up more than if you just beat another team whose ranks were level 20s. So yeah, you should skip ranks there. I completely agree with that. I mean, Halo 3's ranking system was just, it was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, and no other Halo game has had a ranking system like Halo 3's. But not only did Halo 3 have a great skill-based ranking system, it also had a phenomenal XP-based ranking system. And unlike every other game on the planet, with Halo 3's XP-based system, you actually had to win to get XP. You had to win to get XP. If you lost, you got nothing. In every other game that comes to mind, you just get XP from playing. You could suck dick at the game, and you get XP just from playing. And Halo Reach was one of them games. Instead of it being called XP, they were called credits in Halo Reach. And all you had to do to get credits was play the game. Doesn't matter if you won, you lost, if you're playing campaign or forge, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You just get credits for playing, which I'm not a fan of at all. I'm a firm believer that if to get the top rank in a game, you should have to be somewhat skilled at the game. And I don't think that's asking too much. In Halo Reach, you could literally get the top rank, which is Inheritor. That's the top rank for its progression system. You could get the top rank just by playing Firefight. And you don't even have to be good at Firefight. Just from playing. Just from playing, you get credits, and you can rank up just from playing Firefight and get the top rank. But it doesn't mean you're good at the game at all. Doesn't even mean you're good at Firefight. And there was just so many times playing matchmaking, playing the competitive multiplayer, where I would get into a game and I would see a bunch of Inheritors in that game, but it doesn't mean that they're good. Now, yeah, some of the Inheritors, they are really good. Maybe they got their Inheritor just by playing multiplayer and they're really skilled at the game. But there's a lot of them who just got it just from playing the game a lot. Doesn't mean they're good. They just got the top rank in the game just from playing a lot. And like I said, I don't think you should be able to get the top rank in a game if you're not skilled at the game. And yeah, I do understand that Halo Reach had the arena, and to get the top rank in the arena, you had to be very skilled at the game. And like I mentioned, there was only ever 3 arena playlists. And for most of the time, it was just the one arena playlist, the 4v4. So I don't feel that having one playlist with that uses like a skill-based ranking system, I don't feel like that justifies anything. That doesn't justify bad players being able to get the top rank within the progression system just because you have one playlist that uses the skill-based ranking system. No. Even if it's a progression system, I still feel like you need to be skilled at the game to get that top rank. Now, if you look at Halo 3's XP-based system, you know, you got XP, you had to win to get the XP. Yeah, if you play a ton, you're bound to win games. And I'm sure just by playing, even if you're terrible at the game, eventually you'll get enough wins to obtain the top rank in Halo 3, which is 5-star General. But even if you have the amount of XP for that top rank, you still need to get the level 50 to obtain that top rank. So, unlike Halo Reach, where the skill-based ranking system and the progression system are kind of their own separate things, in Halo 3 they were tied together. You needed a level 50 and 5,000 XP to get the top rank in Halo 3. And that's incredible. So if you see somebody who is a 5-star general in Halo 3, there's a good chance they're good at the game. And I'm not saying all level 50s in Halo 3 are good. But for the most part, when you see a level 50 or a general in Halo 3, there's a much better chance that they're skilled at the game versus if you were to see an inheritor in Halo Reach. There's a much higher chance that level 50, that general in Halo 3, is good at the game. A much better chance of that than to assume that inheritor in Halo Reach is good at the game. And that's the comparison I'm trying to make there. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the ranking system. The ranking system was such a big deal to me in Halo 3. It's also a big reason as to why I didn't like Halo Reach when Halo Reach first came out. But like I said, I've been playing Halo so long that now I'm okay with playing the game, just to play it. It's not all about the ranking system like it used to be. I still want a good ranking system in my Halo games, but I can still enjoy the game without the ranking system, which is what I'm trying to say. And as I mentioned, some of you might not give a fuck about the ranking system in any Halo game. That might mean nothing to you. And as I said, people like Halo for different reasons, so that's why. And that is why some people can hate Halo Reach for things like, the ranking system not being as good as Halo 3's ranking system. But then there's other people that can love Halo Reach because of how good the Forge and the Firefight are. It's all about what you look for in a Halo game that kind of determines how you feel about that game. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about the ranking system in Halo Reach and how it compared to Halo 3's, and that is a big reason as to why I did not like Reach when it first came out. With Halo 3, there were so many people that they spent most of their time on that game in the multiplayer, in the ranked playlist, going for level 50s, really competitive, sweaty matches. You had the 1 to 50 ranking system where, in a nutshell, if you won, you ranked up, you lost, your rank down, so there was something to work towards every game in the ranked playlist. And then you had XP to work towards in the social playlist. And that's where I fall into the mix. Like, that's why I put so many days of playtime, months of playtime into Halo 3. Because of that ranking system, that 1 to 50, those competitive matches. That's why I put so much time into Halo 3. Otherwise, I probably would have dropped the game a long time ago. So somebody that really fell in love with the ranking system and the whole competitive multiplayer aspect of Halo 3, somebody like that would be very disappointed going to Halo Reach, as a lot of people were, myself included. Because then in Halo Reach, 1 to 50 ranking system was gone. And the only skill-based ranking system in that game was the division-based system in the arena. Which, again, it's all opinion, but I didn't think that compared to the 1 to 50 ranking system at all. I thought the 1 to 50 ranking system was much better and way more rewarding than the arena in Halo Reach. So with Halo Reach, we lost the incredible ranking system that was in Halo 3, and also a lot of the matches you would get into in matchmaking in Halo Reach, they weren't competitive because there wasn't skill-based matchmaking besides the few arena playlists, which I think was Doubles Arena, 4v4 Arena, and FFA Arena, which FFA Arena, I don't think, that didn't last long, and then the only arena playlist on there right now is 4v4. So we had anywhere from 1 to 3 ranked playlists, where in Halo 3 we had many that came and went, many that stayed. So all them like competitive, sweaty matches, grinding for a level 50, all that was gone with Reach. It was all gone. And I always love to make this comparison. Look at the Team Slayer playlist in Reach, and then compare that to the Team Slayer playlist in Halo 3. In Halo 3, it was a ranked playlist, so there was skill-based matchmaking. And once you got up in the ranks, every match was super sweaty, super competitive. Okay, well maybe not every game. I'm just trying to make the point that you'd get a lot more competitive matches in Halo 3 Team Slayer playlist compared to Halo Reach's Team Slayer playlist. And then you look at Halo Reach's Team Slayer playlist, not a ranked playlist, no skill-based matchmaking. You can have guests in the playlist, armor lock and jetpacks and sprint, terrible maps, bloom. It was just a shit show. And Team Slayer was my favorite playlist in Halo 3. So coming from Halo 3 to Reach, I mean, you gotta see how Reach did not make a good first impression on me at all. Also, the campaign in Halo Reach. I know some people loved it, others hated it. I didn't really mind it. I thought it was alright, but I was super let down. I was pretty disappointed by the campaign in Reach. Because I'm not like a lore master when it comes to Halo. Like, I don't know. I haven't read the books. I don't know. I only know what's in the games. And what I pictured in my head when I thought of Planet Reach was I would always picture tons and tons of Spartans. Just tons of Spartans. Like, you know how in Halo 3, when you're playing as Master Chief, you fight alongside so many different Marines. Well, I pictured Reach being a Spartan fighting alongside a ton of other Spartans. And I was really let down when I found out that you just followed Noble Team. That was it. Just Noble Team. Out of all the Spartans that were around during Reach, you only got to see 6 of them. Throughout the entire campaign, you never see another Spartan besides the 6 Spartans in Noble Team. And then on the last mission, they Lone Wolf, that mission, you see a bunch of dead Spartans scattered all over the ground. Like, what? Okay, sure. Like, what? It's just a kick in the nuts. Throughout the entire campaign, I wanted to see armies of Spartans. And you don't see any Spartans throughout the entire campaign until the last mission. You see a bunch of dead Spartans scattered on the ground. Well, obviously besides Noble Team. They shouldn't even included them dead Spartans in the last mission if you don't see any other Spartans throughout the entire game. Like, what the fuck? Also, another thing I always thought about when I thought of Reach was wildlife. I pictured all different kinds of wildlife on the planet Reach. And in the game, all we get to see are the Moas, and then on Nightfall, you see 2 of them big dudes. I forget what they're called. But that's really it for wildlife. I mean, Halo's never really done the whole wildlife thing like that well. You know, in the Halo games, sometimes you'll see some weird birds flying around in the distance, and like I said, in Reach, you had the Moas. But that was it. I really thought the wildlife would have been on a whole new level in Reach. But unfortunately, that was not the case. So that was my 2 main gripes with the campaign in Reach, was the lack of Spartans and the lack of wildlife. Like I said, I don't know everything about the lore, but that is what I expected when I thought of Reach. When I thought of Planet Reach, those are the 2 things that I thought of, and that wasn't really included in the game. At least not on the scale that I imagined. And now I briefly want to talk about Theater Mode in Halo Reach. As most of you know, Theater Mode was first introduced into Halo with Halo 3. And I personally loved Theater Mode for so many different reasons. First off, Theater Mode was always a very useful tool if you were someone who made montages. Because with Theater Mode, if you're playing and you're going for clips, you don't have to be recording the entire time. Once you hit a clip, then you can go into Theater, rewatch it, and record it then. You could also use Theater to go fly cam and record, cool, unique angles for your montage. So Theater Mode was always really great for montage makers. It was also really good because, like I said, you don't have to be recording the entire time you're playing the game. If something cool happens, then you can go back to Theater and record it. Also with Theater, you're able to save games. And right now, having Halo 3 has been out, 11 years now? It's really cool to be able to go back and watch games from 2007, 2008. That is so cool to me that I have them games saved. Now, all these things I'm talking about with Halo 3's Theater, you can still do all that with Halo Reach's Theater. But there was one thing with Halo Reach's Theater that was a pretty big step backwards from Halo 3's theater mode, and that was the inability to watch a film clip with somebody else. In Halo 3, you could watch theater films with a total of 4 people, you and 3 others, and that was incredible. In Halo Reach, you can only watch a theater film by yourself. And every other Halo game since Reach has been that way, only being able to go in theater by yourself. And I can't even begin to explain how annoying that is. And to this day, I still don't understand why that is a thing. Why are we only allowed to watch a theater film by ourselves? When in Halo 3, the first game to introduce theater, you could go in with up to 4 people. Why? I've always wanted to know that. I have no idea what the hell happened there. I mean, at least from what I could tell, everything worked fine when you could go into theater with 4 people in Halo 3. I don't remember it being glitchy or laggy or anything weird. It was fine. So, I really have no idea why that's been removed. The ability to go in with up to 4 people, and you can only go into theater by yourself now. I do not understand that. So with Halo Reach only allowing you to watch a theater film by yourself, that made things pretty damn difficult. And let me explain why. So in Halo 3, if I'm playing matchmaking with some buddies, and I get a really cool clip, or something really interesting happens in that game, after the game is over, all I have to do is switch the lobby to theater mode, start up the film, and I can show them. I can show my buddies what happened that game. That simple. That easy. Now in Halo Reach, you can only go into theater by yourself, so things are a little bit more difficult. So if I'm playing matchmaking with some buddies on Halo Reach, and something really cool happens during that game, so after the game is over, if I want to show my buddies what had happened that game, like let's say I got an overkill, if I want to show that to them, what I have to do is I have to leave the lobby, go to theater by myself, start up the film clip, get to the part where the overkill happens, record it, then I have to end the theater clip, put the recording on my file share. My buddies have to download the film clip from my file share. They go to theater, they watch it, and then we get in each other's game and we start playing matchmaking again. So the inability to go into theater with multiple people in Reach, it made that process a lot longer. And that was always something that was so annoying to me, because me and my friends, we used to go to theater in Halo 3 all the time. And it was so annoying not being able to do that in Halo Reach. So theater mode was one of them features that was a huge disappointment in Reach. And still to this day, I'd say theater mode was at its best in an 11-year-old game, Halo 3. Now this is something kind of less important, but I've always liked it about Halo Reach, and that is all the different concept art you see for Halo Reach in the menus. From the title screen to the main menu to the campaign or firefight lobby, all the concept art there is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Especially the concept art in the custom games lobby and the firefight lobby. Those are probably my favorite. You know, out of all the Halo games, I think Halo Reach's menus were my favorite when we're just talking about looks. I do really admire how simple Halo 3's user interface is, but I think Halo Reach is, just talking about the art, I think Halo Reach is probably my favorite. Also, the background image for the campaign lobby and the main menu would change depending on what campaign mission you're on, which that's another thing I thought was really cool. I think there was like 4 different backgrounds it would change to, but this one right here has got to be my favorite. I mean, that is just absolutely beautiful. Now real quick, I want to talk about something else that I've always really admired about Halo Reach. So you know how I was talking about Halo Reach, it had everything, right? I said it had campaign, forge, firefight, custom games, theater, and matchmaking. It had it all. And something else about Reach that kind of goes along with that same kind of idea that Halo Reach, it had it all, is that Halo Reach included every single different kind of Covenant species that you fought in the Halo games that came before Reach. In Halo Reach, you got elites, you got hunters, you got brutes, you got jackals, grunts, skirmishers, which were a new Covenant faction in Reach. You also have drones, the engineers, And I think that's about it. I may have missed one or two, but I'm pretty sure I got them all. Oh, and I almost forgot. I did also want to mention that both types of Covenant dropships that you see in Halo 1, 2, and 3, whether it's the Spirits like you see in Halo 1 or the Phantoms like you see in Halo 2 and 3, both of them types of Covenant dropships are both included in Halo Reach, which I thought was pretty cool that they did that. And you know, there's actually a couple things that are kind of interesting and strange about drones in Halo Reach. For one, Halo Reach was the last Halo game to include the drones. Now, I'm not sure if there were drones in Spartan Assault or Halo Wars 2 or anything like that, but there were no drones in Halo 4 or 5, so pretty much Reach was the last Halo game to have drones, which is really interesting to me. I really don't know why they did away with them. But you know, what's really strange about the drones in Halo Reach is that you only encounter them in the campaign. There is no drones in Firefight in Halo Reach. And not only are drones just seen in the campaign of Halo Reach, but, and I could be very wrong on this, I might be wrong on this, but from what I've looked up and from what I've seen, you only encounter the drones in one section on the last mission of Halo Reach. Well, technically second to last mission of Halo Reach. You enter like some weird cave area and you fight a couple drones and that's it. I'm pretty sure that's the only time you encounter drones in the Halo Reach campaign. I could be wrong about that, I'm really not entirely sure, but from what I looked up, that seems to be the case. That seems to be the only spot in the campaign that you encounter the drones. But even if it's not, I still find it super strange that you can't fight the drones in Firefight in Halo Reach. I mean, every other type of Covenant you see throughout the Halo Reach campaign, they're all also included in Firefight. Even the Engineers are in Firefight, and I believe the only map you see them on is the map Corvette. Now, the only weird thing about Engineers is that if you go into like the Firefight settings and you go to like Wave Properties, you can't choose Engineers. You can choose any other type of Covenant, Brutes, Jackals, Elites, but you can't choose Engineers, and of course drones because they're not in Firefight. And it's a real shame that the drones aren't in Firefight, because the drones were actually pretty fun to fight in Halo Reach. If you get a headshot on them, they would explode, which was pretty satisfying. And another reason I find it pretty weird that the drones aren't in Firefight in Halo Reach is because in Halo 3 ODST Firefight, the drones actually played a pretty significant role. And another thing with ODST is that the drones, there was different like classes of drones. You had like red drones, blue drones, green drones, all different types of drones, and not just your typical green drones. So with the presence that the drones had in ODST, I just find it so weird that the drones were not in Halo Reach Firefight, especially because they're in the Reach campaign. And if I am right about the drones only being in that one section on the second to last mission of Halo Reach, if that is the case, then I'm guessing it was just a last minute decision just to throw the drones into a certain section of that mission. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Now, if there were more drones throughout earlier parts in the campaign, then I guess that theory is out the window, but from what I've seen, from what I looked up, there was only drones in that one section on the second to last mission. I apologize for kind of getting sidetracked and just talking about drones, but I always felt like the drones had such a strange role in Halo Reach, so I just wanted to bring that up and give you guys my thoughts on it. So every different Covenant faction species that you fought in Halo 1, Halo 2, 3, Halo 3 ODST, they were all there in Halo Reach. But you know, that's actually not entirely true, because there is technically one exception to that. And I was just going to tell you guys what that one exception was, but I actually want to see if any of you can guess it. So technically there is one alien species that you fight in a Halo game that came before Reach. And you fight this species within the gameplay. It's not like in a cutscene or anything. It actually happens within the gameplay. And that is the only alien species that is not in Halo Reach. So there is just one, and I want to see if any of you guys can guess it, so be sure to leave a comment. But besides that one, every Covenant faction that you fought in every Halo game before Reach, they were all included in Halo Reach. And that is something that I think is pretty damn awesome. Yeah, you don't get to fight the Flood in Halo Reach, that's the only bummer, I guess, but But as far as like lore goes, I don't really know that that would make any sense for there to be Flood there on Reach. So that's just another thing that I did really admire about Halo Reach, and I just wanted to bring that up just because I want to get that point across that Halo Reach, there was so much there with that game. As far as all the different modes like campaign, matchmaking, firefight, all of them, it had every single Covenant faction in that game. There was so much there in Halo Reach. Halo Reach, there was a ton of fucking content there, and I can't stress that enough. There was just so much. And then Halo 4, which came after Reach, it left out so many things that were in Reach, so many things that people loved. And same thing even with Halo 5. There's just so much stuff that was in Halo Reach that we do not see in Halo 5. And I don't really see Halo 5 like bringing anything new and better to the table to replace the things that were in Reach. I mean, sure, Halo 5, you got Warzone. They introduced Warzone in Halo 5. But Halo Reach had Invasion. And from what I've heard other people say, as well as my own opinion, is that Invasion and Reach is more fun than Warzone in Halo 5. It just seems like all these newer Halo games are just, they're leaving stuff out. They're forgetting stuff. Things that were in older Halo games. As far as the amount of content and different features go, Halo Reach was easily the best Halo game we've ever had, when you just look at the amount of content within that game. Halo Reach's main problem was its competitive multiplayer. Shitty armor abilities, sprint, bloom, things like that. That was Halo Reach's problem. And like I said, people were very vocal about how they felt about Halo Reach. So it would have been really nice if 343 had listened to the community and improved upon the things that people disliked about Reach with Halo 4, and kept the things that people did like about Reach, and then Halo 4 could have been the best Halo game ever. But unfortunately, that was not the case at all. So just to kind of pull everything together here, I want to just make it clear that the main thing I admire about Halo Reach is the amount of features and game modes and just content that was in that game. There was so much there. Not all of it was great, but it was there. It was there. And the reason certain parts of Halo Reach weren't great, it's not because Bungie was lazy. It just has more to do with that was Bungie's vision for the game, which in certain aspects it was a mistake. Like I keep going back to the competitive multiplayer. That the armor abilities and the bloom and everything, that was a mistake.
Gold.
This game sucks! This game fucking sucks!
But you gotta give Bungie credit for how much stuff they crammed into this game. You know, throughout this video, I've really been talking down about the armor abilities that were introduced in Halo Reach. But I do want to make it clear that armor abilities, I think armor abilities are a great idea for custom games. Phenomenal idea for custom games. I want armor abilities in custom games. I'd be mad if armor abilities were gone. But when it comes to the competitive multiplayer, to matchmaking, get the armor abilities out. We don't need them. We don't need them. A lot of these abilities, it ruins the experience. Armor lock, jetpack, fucking Promethean vision in Halo 4. Halo 5 still has sprint. Like, these abilities just need to go. They need to get out of the competitive multiplayer. And again, when I say competitive multiplayer, I'm just talking PvP. I'm not just talking HCS or MLG. I'm just referring to the PvP experience. I strongly feel that armor abilities do not have a place in Halo competitive multiplayer. They just get them out of there. Give us classic Halo. Keep the armor abilities and all the enhanced movement and all that shit for custom games. It's great in custom games. People can do some really cool things with armor abilities or Spartan abilities in custom games, especially with Halo 5. I've seen some pretty crazy shit. But if these abilities have to be in the competitive multiplayer, if there's no way around it and they have to be there, which they don't, but let's just say 343 is against removing armor abilities or Spartan abilities from the competitive multiplayer. If they have to be there, I feel like putting them on the map as pickups, kind of like equipment in Halo 3, I feel like that would just be so much better than being able to spawn in with an ability. Or in Halo 5's case, you spawn in with every ability. I much rather have these abilities on the map as pickups. And to be honest, I think that would actually work pretty well. I mean, having a jetpack placed on a map where both teams have to fight over it as if it was like a power weapon or something, that sounds a lot better to me than everybody being able to just spawn in with a jetpack. And I feel the same way about the Spartan abilities in Halo 5. If you have to have them, put them on the map as pickups. And on top of everything that Bungie included in Halo Reach, they also introduced a brand new feature called the File Browser. Now, the File Browser isn't something that's exclusive to Halo Reach. We also had a File Browser in Halo 4 and Halo 5. But the File Browser was first introduced in Halo Reach. And basically, the File Browser was a really good way to find screenshots, films, maps, game types that other people have created. Within the File Browser for Halo Reach, you could search up somebody's gamer tag and check out what they have on their file share. You could also do a filtered search to choose what type of content you're trying to find, whether it's a game type, a screenshot, film clip. Then you had a section for most downloaded and most recommended screenshots, film clips, map variants, and game types. You have recommendations for things that were recommended to you. And you even had a Screenshots of You tab, which when I saw that for the first time, I was blown away. And basically what the Screenshots of You tab was for was if you yourself or somebody else takes a screenshot and your Spartan or Elite, your character model, is in that screenshot, it will show up in that tab, the Screenshots of You tab. And I always thought that was super cool, and it was really awesome to check back from time to time to see if anybody else has taken a screenshot of you. And Screenshots of You was only a thing in Halo Reach's file browser. We didn't have that with Halo 4 or Halo 5, which is really a shame. And like I said, I just thought that was so cool because you could see all of the screenshots that people have taken of you. So, you know, theater mode and the file share and being able to share content, whether it was game types, map variants, you know, film clips or screenshots, that was all first introduced in Halo 3. And with Halo Reach, Bungie went the extra mile to give us a file browser, which allowed a much easier way of sharing all this in-game content, whether it's film clips or screenshots or map variants. Now, like I said, the file browser isn't exclusive to Halo Reach. We had a file browser in Halo 4 as well. And for the most part, everything that you had with the file browser in Halo Reach, you had with Halo 4's file browser. With, I think, the only exception being the Screenshots of You. Now, I only just recently realized that Halo 4 had a file browser. Just from making this video, I just now realized that. I don't ever remember touching the file browser in Halo 4 back in the day. I'm not sure if that was something that wasn't there at launch and got added later. I really don't know. I had no idea Halo 4 had a file browser, but I'm assuming it was there at launch. But with hopping on Halo 4 and just checking out the file browser now, I did notice that if I go to something like screenshots and then I go to most downloaded and I find a screenshot, I click on a screenshot, I notice that it takes a really long time for that screenshot to pop up. You know, you just get the little spinning circle and then it takes forever and then finally you can view the screenshot. In Halo Reach, it was much quicker. Much quicker. So I just thought that was worth noting that Halo Reach is, to view a screenshot on Halo Reach's file browser was a lot quicker than it is on Halo 4. Now, I don't know if that's always been a problem with Halo 4 or if something just happened to the game over the years, Or maybe it's just an issue because I'm playing Halo 4 on the Xbox One, I don't know. But because I'm comparing the file browser from other Halo games to Halo Reach's file browser, I did want to mention that that takes a lot longer to view screenshots in Halo 4 than Halo Reach through the file browser. So just from checking out Halo 4's file browser recently, the only things that I really see that are worse about Halo 4's file browser than Halo Reach's is there's no screenshots of you with Halo 4, and it takes longer to view screenshots. So that's all I noticed, just them two things. Now, I also mentioned there's a file browser in Halo 5, and it's not really called a file browser, but you can look for maps and game types and things like that created by other people. So it's basically like a file browser. But with Halo 5, you can only search for game types, maps, and prefabs for Forge. You cannot search for screenshots or theater films created by other people. Now, you could probably do something like that on Halo Waypoint, but I'm just looking at what you can actually do on the game itself. Now, although Halo 5 left out a lot of things from Halo Reach's file browser, Halo 5's is by no means bad. In Halo 5, when you're searching for files, everything has a thumbnail, so you get a better idea about, what you're about to download, what you're about to play. And what I think is really cool is once you find a game type or a map that you're interested in, once you click on it, then you can click on Find Custom Games, and it'll search for any ongoing custom games for that game type or that map, which that is pretty awesome. You also have an option to play in custom game or play in Forge, and as soon as you click that, it takes you right to the Forge lobby or the custom game lobby, and you can start it right up instantly. So, like I said, Halo 5's file browser is not bad by any means. It's actually really good, but it is worth noting that Halo Reach had some things that Halo 5's did not. Like the screenshots for you and being able to search for screenshots and theater films along with map variants and game types. And even though Halo 5's file browser doesn't have everything Halo Reach has had, I am glad that the file browser has been carried on to Halo 4 and then Halo 5 and hopefully Halo Infinite. Now, another thing that I really did not like about Halo Reach at all, and I feel like this had a pretty big influence on why I disliked the game, was how all the Firefight and multiplayer maps were taken straight from the campaign in Halo Reach. So there were certain areas within the Halo Reach campaign that were designed to either be a Firefight map or a PvP map. And I just gotta say that I did not like this at all. Now, I do understand why they probably did this, because they had to make Firefight maps and PvP maps. That's a lot of maps. So I understand why they did it, but I just really dislike it. And the reason I'm not a fan of this is because when your Firefight maps and your PvP maps have to be taken from areas within the campaign, I strongly feel like that limits the creativity of both the Firefight maps and the PvP maps. It limits how creative you can be on them because they have to fit somewhere within the campaign. And I also mean this the other way around as well. So when designing a campaign mission, the fact that a certain area within that mission has to be a Firefight map or a PvP map, again, I strongly feel like that limits creativity there. Because when these designers are creating these missions, it comes to a point where it's like, alright, now this area, we gotta make this a PvP map, or this area has to be a Firefight map. And I just feel like that has a negative impact on the campaign missions, the Firefight maps, and the PvP maps. And I gotta say that I remember when I first played through the Halo Reach campaign, there were certain areas that just felt kind of out of place. You could really tell that certain areas within the campaign were designed to be a PvP map or a Firefight map. And like I said, I don't like that at all. Because either the multiplayer map was created first and then copy and pasted into the campaign, which I feel the campaign mission suffers, or an area within the campaign mission is just cut out and made a multiplayer map, which in that case I feel like the multiplayer map is suffering. And like I said, doing things that way I really feel limits creativity. I mean, just look at Halo 3's maps, for example. Some of the best maps in Halo 3, like Guardian and Construct and Narrows, all those maps are kind of like out in the open, like on their own by themselves, not around anything. So it would be kind of difficult to fit them into the campaign. If Bungie had taken Halo 3's multiplayer maps and fit them into the campaign somewhere, then I feel like the campaign wouldn't have been as good. And if they just decided to take areas from the campaign and make them multiplayer maps, then I feel like the multiplayer maps wouldn't have been as good. Like, for example, let's say that Narrows was somewhere within Halo 3's campaign. Narrows is just out in the middle of nowhere. So to fit that in the campaign, what would you do? You'd have to, like, maybe there's an objective where you have to fly a Banshee there and kill a couple enemies or something lame like that. It would feel really out of place. When it comes to the multiplayer maps in Halo Reach, I really wasn't a fan of any of them. There were some that were okay. I did have some maps I preferred over others, but overall, the maps in Halo Reach were awful. They were terrible. And I feel like having good multiplayer maps is a very vital piece to an FPS game. Now, Halo Reach did have Forge, so you could kind of create your own maps. Obviously not on the scale that, Bungie themselves could create maps, but you could forge your own maps, but then the problem there was you're playing on all these maps that all look the same. They're all gray. And I'm not someone who's all about looks when it comes to multiplayer maps. I care more about how the maps themselves play. But when you're playing on all these gray maps over and over and over again, it starts to wear you down. So yeah, that's something I really disliked about Halo Reach, how all the multiplayer maps, whether it was PvP maps or Firefight maps, they were all taken from the campaign. I did not like that at all. I strongly feel like that limited the creativity of Halo Reach's multiplayer maps. And having good multiplayer maps in a game, especially within Halo, is something that's very important to me. Especially when the 3 Halo games that came before Reach, Halo 1, 2, and 3, they had a lot of incredible maps in them games. And then Halo Reach just completely shit the bed and every map was bad. But yeah, that's enough talking about that. That is something that I really disliked about Reach, and I really wanted to get my point across there as to why I feel like taking all the multiplayer maps straight from the campaign is not a good idea. And another reason why I strongly feel that the multiplayer maps in Halo Reach weren't as great as the multiplayer maps in Halo 1, 2, and 3 is because of the lack of Forerunner architecture. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird at first, but think about it. Think of all the great maps from Halo 1, 2, and 3, which were Forerunner environments. Just to name a few, you got Hang 'em High, Battle Creek, Blood Gulch, Warlock, Sanctuary, Lockout, Narrows, Guardian, Construct. Now that's not it, but those maps right there are some of the best maps in Halo, and they're all Forerunner environments. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You might be thinking, well, Forerunner has nothing to do with it. It's all about the designers who create the map. It doesn't matter if it's Forerunner or Covenant or UNSC. And yeah, of course I do understand that, but at least back in the day when Bungie was making Halo, I feel like the designers were more creative when building a Forerunner map versus a UNSC map or a Covenant map. When it came to Forerunner architecture, the designers went all out and created some awesome maps. And in Halo Reach, none of the multiplayer maps are Forerunner environments. Well, I'm just talking about the maps that shipped with Halo Reach, not the DLC maps. I know there may have been like 1 or 2 maps with a Halo Reach DLC that were Forerunner environments, like Tempest is one of them. That map did feature some Forerunner architecture. And you know what? I honestly loved that map. Tempest, I had a lot of fun on that map. But all the other Halo Reach maps, none of them stand out to me. And I strongly feel that is because none of them are Forerunner. I strongly feel that. I mean, out of all the maps I named before that were Forerunner environments, like Hang 'em High, Battle Creek, Blood Gulch, Warlock, Sanctuary, Lockout, Narrows, Guardian, Construct, all those maps from Halo 1, 2, and 3, out of all them, is there a Reach map that is better than any one of them? I mean, sure, maybe not everyone likes all the maps I just named, but I'm talking about majority here. I think most people would say that all them maps that I just named off from Halo 1, 2, and 3, I think most people would agree that all them maps are better than every single map we've seen in Halo Reach. And like I said earlier in the video, I don't know a ton about the Halo lore, but I'm assuming that there wasn't any type of Forerunner presence on Reach. And if that is the case, then it makes sense for none of the Halo Reach multiplayer maps to be Forerunner environments. That makes sense. But that's still the reason I feel like the Halo Reach maps were not as great as some of the maps we've seen in Halo 1, 2, and 3. And real briefly, I want to touch on the Halo Reach soundtrack. Personally, I wasn't a huge fan of the soundtrack in Halo Reach. I much preferred the music in Halo 1, 2, and 3, but there were a couple decent tracks. My favorite track was Both Ways, which was the music that was used for the Halo Reach beta multiplayer trailer. Which, by the way, that trailer got me super hyped for Halo Reach back in the day. I can't even tell you how many times I watched it over and over again. Now that's pretty much all I have to say about the soundtrack in Halo Reach, is that, you know, it was alright, wasn't my favorite, but by no means was it bad. It wasn't bad by any means. I just thought the soundtracks for Halo 1, 2, and 3 were better. And the music within some of these Halo games has always really stood out, so I didn't want to go this whole video without mentioning the music in Halo Reach. So even though I didn't have much to say about it, I did want to bring it up and talk briefly about it like I just did. So I'm pretty sure that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. If you made it this far, please leave a comment and let me know what you thought about everything I discussed in this video, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. But real quick before I end this, I want to just bring everything together and wrap this all up real quick. Or maybe not so quick, I don't know. So what's the verdict? Is Halo Reach a bad game? Is it a great game? Or is it just an okay game? Well, after years have passed, and after getting to spend so much time with Halo Reach, also after putting together this video and looking at Halo Reach as a whole, I'm gonna say Halo Reach was a good game. Now that being said, I do feel that Halo Reach deserved all of the hate that it got when it first came out. Because like I explained in this video, I feel that campaign and the competitive multiplayer are the two most important aspects of a Halo game. And Bungie just completely dropped the ball with Halo Reach's competitive multiplayer. Halo Reach's competitive multiplayer and matchmaking experience was inferior to the experience in Halo 3. The Firefight and custom games and Forge in Halo Reach may have been incredible, but I feel like the campaign and the competitive multiplayer is a Halo game's foundation. And things like Forge, custom games, theater, Firefight should be there to complement the campaign and the competitive multiplayer. It is completely understandable as to why somebody's favorite Halo game can be Halo Reach. It is also completely understandable as to why somebody could have thought Halo Reach was trash and they never want anything to do with that game ever again. But what I do not understand, and what is still a mystery to me, is how somebody who loved the original 3 Halo games, Halo 1, 2, and 3, how somebody like that can like Halo 4 or 5 more than Reach. That I do not understand, and I don't think I ever will. And once again, just to make it clear, it is completely understandable as to why somebody would have hated Halo Reach when it first came out, but they may love the game now, for multiple different reasons. For some people, maybe they hated Halo 4 and 5 so much more than Halo Reach, and now when they look back on Reach, they see it in a better light. For others, it could have been the updates to Reach, and playlist changes and things like that, that changed their opinion on the game. And there's also people that hated Halo Reach when it first came out because of its competitive multiplayer, but as time went on, they really started to look at Halo Reach as a whole, and they seen what else the game had to offer, and it changed their opinion on the game. There are so many reasons as to why somebody could have hated Halo Reach when it first came out and thought it was the worst game ever, but now they love it. And because that makes sense, I don't think people like that should be getting any type of hate. It's not that, oh, after a new Halo game comes out, everybody praises the last Halo game that they previously hated. No, it's not that at all. Not at all. And I always go back to Halo 4. People that hated Halo 4 when that game came out, they didn't praise the game after Halo 5 came out. They may have said Halo 4 was better than Halo 5, but they don't go looking back at Halo 4 saying, oh, Halo 4 was an amazing game. It was such a great game. Maybe there's a 0.01% out there that does say that, but overall, that's not the case. So that's pretty much it for my analysis on Halo Reach. I know this was a super long video, but I had a lot of opinions on this game that I just wanted to share with you guys. And once again, I just want to say that if you watch this whole video, if you watched it from beginning to end, that is fucking awesome, because this is the longest video on my channel, so I do appreciate that. I'm going to be putting out much more videos in the future, somewhat consistently. I'm not going to disappear for like a month. And I do want to say not every video that I put out on this channel is going to be Halo related. Halo's obviously the main focus of this channel, but there's other videos that I want to upload. I want to make videos and upload that have nothing to do with Halo. And I don't want to just fucking start a bunch of different channels for different games and other activities and stuff. No, I just want to keep it all in one place. So so if you see completely unrelated Halo content on this channel, that is why, because I want to keep it all on this channel, all in one spot. You don't have to watch it. If you see it's not a Halo video, you're not interested, just don't watch it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your opinions on all this. Cause Halo Reach, it's a funny game. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I want to hear everyone's opinions. What'd you think about my thoughts on this game? Do you like Halo Reach? Are you someone who's always hated Halo Reach? Are you like me? You hated it then, you like it now? Or did you always love the game? Like, let me know in the comments. I'll be reading them all. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.